I'm unbeatable, I'm unbeatable, I'm unbeatable.
I'm unbeatable. Couple minutes left score. Every time they wanna clash, the winners kicking through the door. I am unbeatable. Chances running out of stock, and we're running out the clock. I fail once, never stop. I am unbeatable. I am unbeatable. I am unbeatable, yeah. I am unbeatable. I am unbeatable, yeah. I am unbeatable. I am unbeatable, yeah. I am unbeatable. I am unbeatable, yeah.
Welcome to the British Basketball League YouTube channel for this championship game between the Bristol Flyers and the Caledonia Gladiators in this, the last week of regular season action. The Gladiators will still be focusing on securing an unlikely second spot in the league, and mathematically, Bristol could still finish as high as 5th. The Flyers are in great form, having won 4 out of their last 5, as Caledonia, who have 6 out of their last 7. This will be the final game of the regular season for both teams. Calling this one is Josh Bear and former Newcastle Eagle Drew Lasker.
Thank you, Jeanette, and welcome, British Basketball League fans. We're live here in Bristol for this game in the British Basketball League between our hosts, the Bristol Flyers, and the visitors, the Caledonia Gladiators. Welcome, basketball fans. I'm your commentator, Josh Bett, alongside former Newcastle Eagles player Drew Lasker. Drew, both teams 5-1 in the last few games, but what can we expect from today's game?
Well, next week is the playoffs, and I don't know about you, but if I'm a player, I want to be at the O2 Arena, so they're going to have to make sure they're playing their best basketball.
Well, we're going to take a look at the starting lineups for these two teams. We'll begin with the home team, the Bristol Flyers. Well, Andreas Kapoulis' team have picked up their form recently. Bradley, Thomas Edwards, Allison Lucas, and the big green machine, Brad Green, will be the big man inside. Your starting 5 for Bristol Flyers. Well, Gareth Murray's team have been battling for second place alongside the Cheshire Phoenix. They'll start with Malcolm Whelan, Moore Jr., Politza, and Bothwell. Starting 5 of your visiting team, Caledonia Gladiators. Well, Drew, we got to talk about some of the key players, and we must start with this man, Tevin Ollison. He has been phenomenal.
Absolutely. We go back to his first professional game last year. 0 points. Now he's the Flyers' leading scorer. His confidence is through the roof. Best shooter on the team. He's bouncing. He's ready to go.
Well, of course, Ollison will be the player to look out for, but what can we say about QG Quade Green? He has been another exciting talent.
He has just come and transformed this team offense. His shiftiness paralyzed defenders, and watch him in ball screens. He loved to split that defender and get to the paint where he have options galore.
Well, of course, this is going to be an exciting game. Gareth Murray shaking hands with his counterpart, Andreas Kapoulis. Both coaches know this is a big game. We'll be back momentarily. Welcome back, basketball fans. We're live here in Bristol for this game. There is a look at the league standings at the moment. As you can see, still a little bit to play for the Bristol Flyers. Drew, very well, they could actually move up to 5th place.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, but at this point, it doesn't matter. To be the best, you got to beat the best, and so you can't be focused on this league table. You got to go out and win.
Well, it's been a big turnaround. Tahir Akar, one of our lead referees here for tonight, a very experienced British basketball referee. He'll be partnered with Gavin Williams and Joe Hodgson. Gavin Williams doing a lot of work with Basketball Wales in and around his time with the British Basketball League. Of course, as you mentioned, playoffs coming up next week, and you know what this time of season's like. A game like this, you still want to play for a lot more, but you don't want to pick up any injuries.
Yeah, you want to make sure you come out here unscathed, but being a former professional athlete, when you think about the injuries, that's when it happens, so you just got to go out there with a free mind.
Well, Clifton Moore Jr., as Bothwell goes in, can't get the little drop on it. It's interesting, these two teams have had some very interesting encounters this season. You know, it's almost, you can't figure it out. I mean, who would be, we obviously know in league standings, but Bristol seemed to be one of those bogey teams for the Gladiators.
Yeah, well, for the Flyers, they just haven't been healthy. I mean, between their 3 guards, they've missed 23 games when you think of Allison, Johnson, and Lucas, but when they've been together, they've been dynamic.
Well, you can see Gladiators not making any effort for a loose ball. Flyers come right back up with it. Bradley going for a turnaround fadeaway on the baseline. 2 points going early to the Bristol Flyers. That's a textbook move by Levi Bradley.
And speaking of confidence going into the playoffs, Bradley is going to have to come to the party. This is great for him because he's been a little bit inconsistent this season, so promising start by him.
Wheeling under pressure, finding Clifton Moore Jr. Trying to go backdoor, good defense by Allison. Goes out of bounds and forcing a turnover already. Flyers just a little bit hungry early on.
Well, that's what they do. They gobble up teams defensively. And speaking of Quade Green, who we pumped up at the beginning of the game, he's on the bench. Is it a little bit of rest, or is it your point that you mentioned, not wanting to pick up an injury going into the playoffs? We shall see.
Flyers looking to build a 2-possession lead. Now they go down low to Brad Green. Here's an interesting matchup. Got it by Allison, got it by Clifton Moore Jr. He turns around. I like that jump hook. That's been one of his most trademark moves this season.
Well, with the Flyers, they're not a great shooting team, but one guy who can't shoot is Brad Green in particular in the paint. He's a safety blanket for this team. When things aren't working, you can dump the ball down low, and you see plays that you just witnessed.
Bothwell looking to attack. Caledonia still looking for their first field goal. Malcolm, getting away with the 2 hop steps. Politza goes for a tough step back. Nothing dropping for the Gladiators. Is that a traveling violation on Malcolm there, you reckon?
Well, the refs didn't call it, so let's play on.
I like that answer. Well, Clifton Moore Jr. going all the way, unable to finish. And Malcolm no good on the tip back. Caledonia struggling to get into the game.
And this is a team offensively who's been on fire over the last 7 games. They're averaging 96 points a game. And a lot of that has to do with the man that's sitting on the bench, Quade Green.
Well, Flyers getting many chances. It's a case here. Caledonia just not boxing out. I mean, it's tough when you've got a player like Brad Green, but also Thomas Edwards. Relentlessly, they will go for second chances.
Well, that's why they lead the league in that category, along with offensive rebounds, because as I mentioned earlier, they don't shoot it well. So offensive crashing the glass is a mindset, so they already know it's less of a 50% chance it's going to go in, so let's go in the paint and see if we can get another opportunity.
Thomas Edwards making the first free throw. Fantastic crowd we have here this evening in Bristol. I mean, you know what it's like to play in this arena. It is so condensed. It's tough because the atmosphere is good, and sometimes the fans may be a little bit too close, as we can see to the court.
Yeah, and if, for an away player, it's fun, but it does get intimidating if that place gets rocking and the Flyers get off to the start that they've gotten off to today.
Bothwell trying to orchestrate the offense, looking for that first field goal here in the first quarter. Nowhere to go. Now we're under 10 on the shot clock. Malcolm picks up his dribble. We got to get something going now. Bothwell pulls up from 19, top of the key, and finally getting the first 2 points for the visitors.
And that's a great shot, but
good defense. But yeah, going to back to what you were saying, Drew.
Yeah, no, that's a great shot, but it's not sustainable. This offense looks like it did before Quade Green gets there. Why? Because Bothwell isn't a natural point guard. He's an off guard who usually comes off the bench. As I say that, he says, hush there, Drew, I know what I'm doing here, as he gets the Caledonia Gladiators off the mark.
Bristol Flyers 6, Bothwell 5. So far on the points here for the Gladiators. As you mentioned, fighting for every position and every possession, having to make it count. Bradley going for a post-up. This time fades the other way, but rattles his way in and out. Here come Caledonia, looking to take the lead. It's a guided by rapid Thomas Edwards. Pump fakes. 15, and finally the visitors take the lead for the first time.
And that's so nice, so poised by Paliza, who normally would take that three, but gets to his spot, knocks it down, as Clifton Moore says, "Not here today, son."
I like that. It was a nice little Euro step by Tevin Ollison, but we've seen this time and time again from Clifton Moore Jr. This is why I think it was Dan Routledge dubbed him the block nest monster.
Ooh, I like that. That's because he has great timing, and this is a guy that used to be a guard who hit a growth spurt in high school, so he has guard-like skills, guard-like timing that you just saw there.
Nice post up by Thomas Edwards, and you know when he seals inside the paint, it's only going to be one outcome. As here comes Whelan, finds Clifton Moore Jr. again, struggling inside the paint. Caledonia get a second chance, again no good. They're fighting for second chances. If you are a neutral fan in the British Basketball League, you would love to see this game go right down to the wire. Malcolm kicking out, and Gareth Murray wide open, and you know back in his day, he was going to make that shot, but he can't do it now.
He would have done it last year when he was a player coach, but as you see, he has that beautiful suit on, and I don't think he is in game shape at the moment, as we should say.
Well, Gareth Murray, many years a great professional here in the British Basketball League, featured for the Great Britain national team at many big international tournaments, Eurobaskets, FIBA World Cup qualifiers. And again, what a better ambassador for not only British basketball, but Scottish basketball to lead this franchise forward.
Absolutely, and he got a 3-year deal over the summer, so there's some stability there from the head coach position, and everything they're doing in Caledonia should be magnified, because as an organization, they just announced they've got a beautiful workout facility there as well. So the Timides and everybody involved with their organization, fantastic job.
It's interesting because, you know, a lot of people in the international world of basketball, everyone seems to ask about London Lions. But I tell you right now, I've gone to Eurobaskets, FIBA World Cups. People do ask me about the Caledonia Gladiators. And a 3 nailed by Patrick Whittam with 4:51 to go here in the first quarter. Currently, Caledonia with the lead. We'll take a short break, and we will be back momentarily. Welcome back, basketball fans. We're live here in Bristol for this game in the British Basketball League between the Caledonia Gladiators, the visitors, and our host, the Bristol Flyers. Currently, Gladiators with a slender lead at the moment. Both teams, Drew, going back and forth, firing buckets at each other. Yeah, and Caledonia has done a great job of getting back into this with their defense. And Mike Bothwell, in particular, getting it done from outside. Still Quaddy Green's on the bench at the moment for the Gladiators. Well, here comes Ollison. It's called a double team. Thomas Edwards from no man's land fires nothing but net. I mean, Interesting, he can score in so many ways near the basket, but he is quite a good perimeter shooter.
Yeah, and he's developed that. He wasn't always a great three-point shooter, and that just goes to say he's been in the gym over the summer working on that, expanding his game, is what you want to see out of these players.
Well, they've called an illegal screen against Clifton Moore Jr. So I think Kyle Johnson's getting ready to sub in. Let's have a look at the replay here. There's a three-pointer by Rafa Thomas Edwards. Screens are such an interesting one because as the game has progressed over the years, you know, the margin for error has become so much smaller.
Well, it's fundamentals, and you know, it starts at an early age, and we're going to have to go back and reteach players how to screen because it used to be really aggressive and physical. Now we have to flip it and just say stand your ground and allow the guards to use you.
Bristol still leading by 1 point. Green trying to go for a post up from the perimeter. He's going to have to give this one up. Ollison pulls up in the mid-range, tucks this one away, and again, getting a better rhythm now for Bristol.
And this is where Ollison has really stepped up his game. He can score at all three levels. Not only is he's their best three-point shooter, but he can also get to the basket, get to the mid-range as well.
Bothwell inside the paint. Nobody helping him out there. Defense came to collapse. Now remember, Politza's left the game. Baldwin's come in. So change will be coming now here for the Flyers, I believe. Well, here's the mid-range, just pulls up. Flyers trying to extend on their lead. Remember, they can move up the table tonight, potentially with a victory. But they'll also have to wait to see how other results go their way. Caledonia's defense scrambling. Whelan trying to stand strong. Bank is open, a beautiful move by Lucas.
That was a great patient move by Lucas to get to his spot and just kiss it right there off the glass.
7-0 run here for the Flyers. Whelan trying to look for Malcolm on the post-up. Baldwin going handoff. One throw off the ball screen. Finds Baldwin. Hard foul coming in. So 2 free throws coming up here for the Gladiators. Much better offense, I think. Better patient build-up. They got to the ball screen. But, you know, if you're Caledonia right now, defensively, what do you need to improve?
You got to be physical. You seeing they're doing a lot of switching there, and that's Bothwell right there as he makes the dump off to Baldwin, and that's an area that he's grown. But they just have to tighten up. I just saw the last possession there was a mix-up between Fraser Malcolm and Patrick Whelan, and so they got to do those little things like communicate and be on the same page if you're going to play a switching defense.
Well, Baldwin has spent much of the season recovering from injury. Now, you did an interview back with him. I think it was in either October or November, but it's very tough when you come into the lineup in the second part of the season near the postseason because, you know, you need the season to not only feel your feet mentally, but physically get into rhythm as well.
Absolutely, and that's where you just have to trust the work. All that work you've been doing behind the scenes in the gym with the physio, when no one is there, you have to trust that that will allow you to come in and make a seamless transition into the game. As we see Quade Money Green enters the game off the bench. Not sure what the tactic is behind that, but you'll see this offense flow a little bit smoother with him in the game.
Well, the player we told you to look out for, Quade Green, is now in. Matching up defensively here with Corey Samuels. Green, of course, coming mid-season, starting with a bang here for the Gladiators. Becoming a heavy fan favorite. Samuels gets his pocket pick, but that's going to remain Bristol ball with 8 seconds left on the shot clock.
And these moments are important, you know, these blobs and slobs, which we call it, baseline out of bounds, sideline out of bounds. These are the little small areas, especially going into the playoffs, where you can get an extra 12, 14 points, so you want to make sure you execute here.
Trying to find Ollison on the curl screen. Too easy down the middle. Ken was almost given a free lunch, but, you know, loose ball. Bristol come up with it, Drew. Deep three is coming up. Finally, they're able to secure a rebound, but, you know, if I'm Garrett Murray right now, I'm going to be infuriated by how many second chances Bristol have had.
Well, they would have been on top of the scouting report. Keep this team off the glass. You got 2 options. You're either putting a body on them or you're going to get the ball, as we see Quade Green, as we talked about at the top. He paralyzes those defenders because he can go every way there. Samuel's trying to stay in front, and look, a desperate attempt, and it's a foul all day.
I was having a conversation with a journalist from Germany's Easy Credit Bundesliga. We were talking about Quade Green and trying to describe his game. Of course, for me, he's a combo guy. He can play the facilitator, he can play off guard. I mean, the fact is for him is he is a very good perimeter shooter, but not only can he create his own shot, he can catch and shoot, he can curl screens. I mean, how do you see his game if you're trying to summarize him?
Well, he's the evolution of the new point guard. You mentioned scoring. That's a prerequisite of a point guard nowadays, where it used to be dribble the ball up, get a team into his offense. But no, you got to have the ability to score, and that's what he is. He's a 2004 new generation point guard.
Just coming into the game, missing 2 free throws already. As you mentioned, quite interesting to see him come off the bench, but maybe that is a tactical play here from Gareth Murray.
Or maybe he was on the naughty step during the week. We don't know. But to go to your point,
We don't know.
yeah, but he missed 2 of those free throws, Josh, and he came into this game 50, 40, 90, which is very rare statistics. And I'm sure those free throws would drop under 90 after those 2 misses.
Well, will be a sideline ball to the Bristol Flyers, currently leading by 4 points with 2:04 to go here in the first quarter. Gareth Murray, of course, will look at this season, think what are going to be the targets next year. Let's try and finish in the top 2. Who knows, maybe challenge the Lions. It's already another foul to be called, so Bristol going back to the free throw line, this time with Levi Bradley. As many fans may not or may remember, he actually was with Bristol right before the global pandemic, and he came back to the British Basketball League to play with Cheshire, where they ended up winning the trophy against the Lions. But, you know, for me, he has been almost like a missing piece for them since making that run. They've been, what, 4 wins out of the last 5? It could be a problem in the playoffs.
Yeah, he's a stretch 4. He can stretch to the defense out to the perimeter. He can score inside, as we saw. His first basket was a turnaround jumper, and he's long. He's gangly, and he just obviously attacked the Owens, who's their best defender, one of the best defenders in the league. And so he will be an asset for this team going into the playoffs.
Flyers 100% from the free throw line. We're currently 25% here for the visitors. They trail by 6 points. Golden trying to get a handoff. Johnson being smothered on defense. Going down low, the big man. That's better execution. Bristol trying to be aggressive, but Caledonia trying to open up the cracks.
And that's great for Baldwin, because we don't know the status of Pharaoh Alahodjic as we go into playoffs, who's been out for several weeks. So he's playing that backup big position, giving Clifton Moore Jr. a break, and they're going to need those 12, 10 minutes that he plays.
Well, almost now, trying to go for a post-up. Double team's coming. Johnson left wide open. 3 is up. 3 is beautifully tucked away. And now it is a 1-point ball game. Caledonia fighting back, Drew.
And if you don't watch the Gladiators much, we'll tell you one thing. One of the best 3-point shooting teams in the league. 5 guys.
Oh, my goodness. Well, he went down the lane and just gave Baldwin a very rude introduction. Drew Laska, somebody explain to me what we just saw.
Well, Jacobs getting downhill to his strong hand to the left. He sees a mismatch there with Baldwin. Meet me at the rim, big fella. Best Baldwin doesn't make it a tip. You see Jacob there. You don't want to jump with me, fella. Big time play.
I think Baldwin just gave him a polite reminder, or maybe he asked him, are you? I don't think so, no. I think he just let him know, I just put you in the top 5 plays of the British Basketball League this week on social media.
We talked about it. Playoffs is next week, you know what I mean? There's no time to wait or save anything. You got to bring it out now.
Green now trying to attack, finds Onwas, pump fakes. Almost down the other end, twisting, turning, and spinning in the lane. That was quite nice, actually.
Ooh, that was nice by Owens, getting down the lane and a little whoop-de-doop under the defender. Nice play.
Brad Green also subbing back in here for the Flyers. Trying to find some separation. Green inside the key. That's usually bread and butter for the Flyers. But Green's just off the bench, though.
Yeah, but that's normally, like you mentioned, that's normally a bucket right there, 3 feet, jump hook, and just a little bit too much weight on that shot.
Green going for the final shot. Pulls up for a quick 3. It's up, and again, the Flyers, they are on fire here in the first quarter. 4th tray ball for the Caledonia Gladiators, excuse me. Green just silences the crowd as that is the end of the first quarter. Well, British basketball fans, we're going to take a short break. And as always, we will be back momentarily. Welcome back, British Basketball League fans. We're live here in beautiful Bristol for this game between the Flyers and the Gladiators. I'm your commentator, Josh Bennett, alongside former Newcastle Eagles superstar, Surrey Scorchers, and Plymouth Raiders, the former Plymouth Raiders, Drew Lasker. Drew, one thing I want to highlight here, Flyers have more offensive rebounds than defensive rebounds, but the key thing for Caledonia has been the three-point shooting. And
if you pay attention, like I mentioned, that's what they do. They get it done from beyond the arc. 4 for 5 in that first quarter. They're second in the league at 38%. Behind some team called the London Lions, you got to keep them off the perimeter.
Both teams locked in at 21 points here in the first half. Almost trying to isolate. Trying to go for size, little jump hook. Just can't finish. Rebound's been secured. Well, Flyers scrambling at the moment. Good hustle here by Omwas. Johnson's got to finish, but again, he just misses. But you've got to give the credit to Prince Omwas.
And that's what we call winning plays, as Leslie Johnson slices to the basket. But going into the playoffs, 50-50 balls, as we just saw there. I want it more than you. What does that mean? Sacrificing your body, getting on the floor. We just seen that with Omwas.
Smith just lost his balance, almost turned it over. Rafa Thomas Edwards probably should be making that one, going to the free throw line for a three-point play, but he will get 2 free throws nonetheless. Again, we're heading into the playoffs next week. These two teams cemented their playoff fate already. We knew Caledonia were going to be a top 2, top 3 team. Of course, we wouldn't imagine mid-season. But the moment this way is going right now, this game, of course, you know, who knows when we get to the playoffs? It could be anyone's game, anyone's series.
There's been so much parity in the league that really, I don't think it matters who you play. Obviously, you want to avoid the Lions, but everyone else, everyone can beat everybody. So you just got to make sure that you're playing your best basketball as Kyle Johnson gets a second opportunity there for the Gladiators.
The former Great Britain international with Eurobasket experience. Looks like she played alongside Gareth Murray's head coach for the GB national team. Having played against some of the very best teams internationally. Smith trying to attack. Green gets a seal off. It's way off the mark.
Wow. Unusual from Green. Maybe too many curls or bench presses coming to the game.
He was practicing with a medicine ball in those moves.
It's the bit strong there.
Caledonia looking to retake the lead. And is trying to go ball screen here with Baldwin. They pick and pop. Green curling now. Nice pass, but Baldwin wasn't ready, and that's going to be a Caledonia turnover. Yep. Just taking his time to settle in, but you know, it's what we mentioned earlier. When you've been away for so long, the training in the gym, you got to get used to the speed and the tempo of the British Basketball League. Because when I speak to a lot of people abroad internationally, one thing they say about this league, it's quick.
Yeah, tempo, and right there, that's timing, right? When you've been off, your time is off. But the issue there is he stopped running. If he would have kept going, the ball would have fell in his lap there.
Smith finding Thomas Edwards, goes in. Too big, too strong. And Thomas Edwards is simply just too good.
Yeah, and Thomas Edwards, I mean, you look at the arms on him right there. I mean, he's strong guy.
You talk about curls, right?
Yeah, he makes sure he gets his in, that's for sure.
Caledonia trying to settle into something. Jimenez not going anywhere. Time's winding down. Green tries to attack the middle, draws a foul, and it will be a sideline ball, maybe a baseline, I'm not quite sure. 7:33 to go here in the second quarter. Lucas is going to pick up the foul. So it's interesting because I remember listening to Todd Harrison and Zanius Stewart. I mean, I agree with what they said the other night, that Matt Morgan has the quickest first step. And, you know, Green's not too far behind in my mind.
Yeah, but I think, yeah, I heard that as well. And it's Matt Morgan. No one has that speed. Yeah. It's not only the quickness, he has speed from baseline to baseline. That's always flexing his muscles there with an and one.
Well, that time he got the back screen, went in. The foul's going to be against Leslie Smith, and that's the beauty of having Prince Omwas in your team. Can play a variety of positions for the Gladiators. And you know, one thing I like about him, of course, he can defend multiple positions. He can switch on ball screens. He can take your point guards, but he has no problem matching up with players such as Leslie Smith.
And that's what we describe, Josh, as a glue guy, a guy that can come in there. His name might not be in the newspaper clippings or on our headlines, but he does the little things that's required on a winning basketball club.
Defensively, the way we speak about it, he reminds me a lot of Lacey James, the former Surrey Scorchers player. Leslie was very similar in the sense he'll get your rebounds, he'll be a rim protector, he'll run the floor, but the key thing, you guard multiple positions when you need to. A glue player, as you said.
Absolutely. That versatility is important because you can move your feet with guards and you have the body strength to be able to bang down low as well.
Well, Green getting his pocket picked. Both teams fighting for this one. Amos finds Malcolm. Now we're under 10 here on the shot clock. Goes for a step back three, high arc. And again, that one went over the Alps. It came down with nothing. But now Bristol go for a quick three in transition. Both teams. That's what we talk about, the speed of the British Basketball League. They get threes in transition. Most teams will go for it. I think you alluded to this in your podcast. Surrey Scorchers probably being one of those teams this year.
Absolutely. Their goal going into the game is how many can we put up? And if you take 40 and you make 13, 14, 15, we'll take it.
Well, Smith with a penetration down the middle. Might be a little bit too easy. And Gareth Murray surely is infuriated with his defense. And I was listening to that episode you mentioned, and it's not a case when you look at the British Basketball League, it's a case of it's run and gun, get a quick three. I think one thing we don't give teams enough credit for is sometimes a wide open looking transition is usually a high percentage three-point. If you take Surrey, you take Bristol, those teams are usually quite good at that. They get shots in transition from the perimeter that are usually quite uncontested.
Well, if you think about it, there's 24 seconds to take a shot. And if you get the shot within 4 or 5 seconds, why wait another 16 seconds to get the same exact shot? And so, that's where basketball has evolved when you talk about the analytics. It's about how many possessions can you get in a ball game? Because if you're scoring 1.3 points a possession, if you get 100 possessions, then you're scoring over 100 points.
And what I love about the European North Basketball League, you had a couple times, you commentated a few games this season with the Eagles, Bristol played as well. I have many friends in Lithuania, many friends in countries for teams that came and played. I think teams were took by surprise about the speed, the physicality, and the athleticism of this league. And I think, I think the owner of Newcastle Eagles spoke about this. People are looking at the British Basketball League and saying, hey, there's talent here. This league just needs to keep progressing. We may fall behind.
Well, yeah, it's been this talk of European basketball.
And I'm one of those. I'm not going to lie. I'm one of those.
Well, what we mean by that is more structure, more tidy. But at the end of the day, it's about putting the ball in the hoop. And if you can put the ball in the hoop, like I mentioned earlier, then someone with desire, and you get the W, then what are we talking about?
And you know that. I mean, when you go to high-level European basketball, the structure is tough. But, not to say we don't have structure. Andreas Kapoulis, phenomenal coach from Greece. Gareth Murray. There is structure with this team that is played at a different flavor. It's Clifton Moore Jr. now trying to go for post-up. And Drew, he's struggling early on here against Brad Green.
Yeah, I mean, Brad Green is the anchor of that great Bristol Flyers defense. You look at the size of him, he has great girth, and you're not just going to body him up. You got to finish over him, and Brad Green did a great job on that possession.
Well, Bristol trying to get the spacing in their offense. Green set the ball screen. That's the penetration, just too strong off the backboard, but big man getting the offensive rebound. Oh, Caledonia, they're going to have to put a body on Brad Green, because if he gets those second chances, it's going to be a long night.
And sometimes I think the Flyers, it's a game to them. I wouldn't be surprised if they had a board in the locker room to see how many second opportunities can we get. Let's miss it on purpose, and maybe Coach Kapoulis gives the guy a gift card for whoever comes out the game with the most.
Well, nice isolation by Bothwell, cutting it down to 1-point ball game. Is that going to count, or was it called? No, it's going to be called on the ground. It's our referee, Tahir Akar, originally from Turkey. It's called the foul, so it will be a sideline ball here too. Interesting story about Tahir. He used to be a PE teacher not too far down the road from here at the International School of London, and a new substitute teacher came in one day with a little book that said England basketball. And she said, oh, my husband's a referee. I said, who's your husband? Tahir Akar.
Wow.
Small world. Flyers now with under 10 here on the shot clock, leading by 1 point. Almost getting ready for a double team. Kicking this one out, the three is up. Two good looks from downtown, but unable to knock him. Almost near the 5-minute mark. Again, if you are the neutral fan, this is the kind of game you want to see. As Buffalo inside the key, had time, space, but Drury couldn't knock it down.
Yeah, that's his shot, though. That's a good shot, and you'll take that. Getting down the hill to his strength and just in and out there.
Well, Lucas down the middle already took a body with him, but couldn't connect with that one. Well, I was frightened. I'm looking at your response now. I was frightened. But there, good thing you have Brad Green for the rebound. As almost draws the blocking foul. Green may have just taken a shot there. with 4:44 to go here in the second quarter.
And I saw this against the Newcastle game in particular with Brad Green trying to take a charge. And it's just about technique, right? He's not wide enough.
Well, Basel fans, midway through the second quarter, we'll take a short break. And as always, we'll be back momentarily. Welcome back, British Basketball League fans. We're live here in Bristol as the Flyers fans currently watching on as their team take on the Caledonia Gladiators. These two teams will be featuring in the postseason of the playoffs this year. And at the moment, Drew, it's been going back and forth between these two teams.
I think you're seeing the identity of both of these clubs. Caledonia, what do they want to do? They want to get it done from beyond the arc. And the Bristol Flyers, they're going to get second chance opportunities and try to beat you up inside.
Prince almost currently at the free throw line. Gareth Murray, interesting, he went with a change in his starting lineup. Quade Green on the bench, and is that a case of just relieving the minutes of some of his key players getting ready for the playoffs, or is it trying things new? I'm not quite sure.
I can't honestly say I understand that with this being your last game going into the playoffs, because there's nothing to experiment with. We get to the real deal in 7 days, and so I can't say.
Almost hangs up in the air, forgot the ball, goes out of bounds, and Gavin Williams is going to call a turnover here on the Gladiators. Well, it looked good. He just forgot the ball in the end.
It looked like he cocked it back and was about to be on the top 10 plays of the week.
I think he's taken a few things personally already in this game from what we see for the Flyers. So, well, Jimenez coming up with a loose ball. Now, can almost get something here. Jimenez goes all the way, misses the layup, had it 2-on-1. Decided to go himself, but a foul's going to be called, and the game becoming a little bit scrappy between these two teams.
And when we talk about identity, this plays into the Bristol Flyers' hand. This is how they want to play. They want to get down and dirty. They want to keep those scoring numbers in the low 80s, in the 70s, and if they do, that usually equals success for them.
Flyers will inbound this in the full court. Bothwell trying to put Samuels under pressure. Pull this down, trying to give the ball up. Whelan trying to put his hand in the passing lane. Here's what they want to go to. Green now pulls up for mid-range. Has struggled since his early few possessions in the first quarter.
Yeah, I would like to see him get deeper there. I think if you make those jump hooks that we saw him attempt earlier, then yeah, we take that shot.
Well, Bothwell playing bully basketball against Corey Samuels. Again, identifying that mismatch and just no problem taking him inside the key. Now, if you're Bristol, do you have to come over to help and double team? Because Samuels, you can see, struggling.
Well, that's professional basketball. You find a mole and you pick on him. And the mole right now is Corey Samuels, the young fella. And Bothwell, a great job of recognizing that.
Well, Malcolm Webb for the closeout. Brad Green's second chance points. That's going to be the key thing tonight. Could this be the X factor? Because Clifton Moore Jr., he's going to struggle to put a body on Brad Green.
Absolutely, and that's when you gotta, well, we keep talking about the playoffs, but that's where physicality comes into play. You gotta be physical. That's the only way you're gonna see your season continue to evolve.
Already, Flyers have converted 5 second chances. Got 10 points from offensive rebounds. That's what's given them a 2-point lead. If you take all those offensive rebounds away, Caledonia, you're up by 8 points, who knows? But credit to the Gladiators. Defensively, they are causing a little bit of problems here for the Flyers.
Well, I mean, how many teams you think have said that this season? If we keep the Flyers off the glass, we could be, yeah, this is what they do. There's no fluke. And wow, are those stats correct?
He's got a double-double, and we haven't even finished the first half.
Wow, I thought there were some technical difficulties there. 10 and 10, wow.
Have to go back to my stats this year and find out the quickest double-double in the history. Not only the British basketball, I don't even know of any player in the world of international who just got a double-double that quickly. With it now, kicks out the Politzer. Can't get the right angle on the three-pointer. Still a 2-point lead to the Flyers. Also looking to isolate, guarded by Whelan. Good defense by Patrick Whelan, but is it enough? And no, it's not, because Allison taking Whelan to school.
And that's when we say, good defense, but better. Oh, right there. Great move out by Allison.
It's a tough shot. You got a hand in his face. You kept out of the lane. I don't think there's any much more Whelan could have done. Whelan trying to respond with a 3, and that's a good response. Ice cold in the veins.
That's what he can do. He said, oh, you want to play? I got this in my bag too, fella.
Well, Smith tried to go for the bounce pass on the backdoor cut, baseline cut, excuse me, from Allison. 1:44 to go. I was speaking to my old man the other day, and one thing he's been very impressed, you know, about watching the British Basketball League this year is the amount of great British talent playing in this league this season. So many players for GB have played in Eurobasket, so many have played in the World Cup qualifiers, and that is a good sign of a domestic professional basketball league. When your national team players, a good core of them are playing in the league.
Absolutely, you got to keep them here. That's been the goal, and we're starting to see that more and more of that talent stay home, and that's only going to be better for us as a fan of the British Basketball League.
1-point ball game, under 90 seconds left here in the first half. Bothwell finds Baldwin, gets his pocket picked, and now here come the Flyers. Bradley trying to go in it. Rejection time. Follow-up is good. Was a good block, but nobody followed in, Drew, for a loose ball.
Yeah, you got to question the effort right now of the Gladiators. What's their mindset? Are they playing not to get hurt, or are they, you know, trying to get in their best form? And right now, they're just getting bullied on all aspects of the game, especially inside. You saw Green with 10 rebounds in the first half, and so they're going to have to step it up.
Well, the pass is very predictable, and in the end, they turn it over. Bradley now for a 3 in transition, a little too short, but again, well, this time they're able to keep them off the loose balls. Here comes Malcolm. Euro step in the lane, goes in, cutting it down to 1 point. Now, Drew, 11 seconds difference. That could potentially be a 2-for-1 for the Gladiators.
Yeah, we talk about this 2-for-1, and, you know, I'm not a big fan of it. Let's just get a good shot. I know the analytics say 2 is more better than 1, but, you know, if it's a bad shot, how's that going to help your confidence? How is it going to help your team if there's 2 misses instead of getting 1 quality look?
Well, the positive here is that it was a transition bucket, but as we said, they can't commit a foul here because any more fouls will send Bristol to the free throw line. So Flyers, you got to take advantage of that. Smith, high post, finds Allison. Well, the 2-for-1 is no good anymore because that's just too easy. Anytime Flyers get inside the paint, they have the advantage. And now Caledonia, 10 seconds left here in the first half, trailing by 3 points. Moving coldly from the perimeter in the second quarter. Whelan's got to get something. Step back, hand his face. 3 is no good. Well, British Basketball League fans, it is indeed a 3-point lead here to the Bristol Flyers. A little bit of arguing going on between Whelan and Bothwell. But as it stands, the hosts, they currently lead this one, as now we edge closer and closer to the playoffs. And a good tempo to the first half, Drew.
Yeah, absolutely. Both teams doing what they normally do. The Gladiators off to a hot start from beyond the arc, but cooled off. But Bristol, man, really strong inside there.
Well, as always, it is halftime. We're going to take a little break. We'll be back to give you the stats, so we will be back momentarily. Welcome back, British Basketball League fans, for this game here between the Bristol Flyers and the Caledonia Gladiators in the British Basketball League. Well, I'm your commentator, Josh Bett, alongside former British Basketball League superstar, Drew Lasker. Drew, at the moment, it's just back and forth. I mean, I can't tell you who's going to win this game.
Yeah, exactly that. Like we mentioned, both teams playing to their identity, but right now the Flyers are being the more dominant team.
Well, of course, 3-pointers going in favor of the Caledonia Gladiators, but let's take a look at the entire stats of this game. Oh, Drew, how do we break this one down?
Well, right now my eyes go right to the rebounds, 24-18, but 10 of those total rebounds are offensive, where the Bristol Flyers have been able to turn into 12 second chance points, and 24 points in the paint means their mindset is bully ball.
Well, as you said, bully basketball indeed. You can see 4 steals for the Gladiators, but as you said, rebounds has been a key factor of 15 field goals with inside the rainbow. Well, indeed, it is time for us to give you the story of the half. And, you know, the one thing I like about this, if you're a neutral basketball fan of this game, Drew, it's just back and forth.
Yeah, exactly. That's what we want to see, right? A competitive game where the stars shine the brightest. Bothwell, as he's shaking loose and shooting a three and reading the defense, who's done a great job, and then Clifton Moore there protecting the paint. But like we mentioned before, it's been the Flyers who's been taking care of business down low, and this game, can't call it, man.
And I asked you the question. We saw a different starting lineup. Malcolm was in the starting lineup. Quade Green was on the bench. You mentioned it's the last game for the Gladiators. No need to try anything different. Is this, trying to preserve your best for the playoffs?
Yes, from a coaching, tactical standpoint, yes. But what it does for your players, it shuts their competitiveness down, because if the coach says, oh, this game doesn't mean nothing, our best player's off the bench, then guess what the team is going to follow that. And you can tell the difference in the teams, the way they're playing from a physicality standpoint.
Now, we just seen Brad Green on the post-up. Here was a play by Leslie Smith. One thing I've noticed, and you alluded to this during the stats, it just seems too easy for the Flyers inside the paint, whether it's a post-up, a penetration, but more notably, 12 points from second chances.
Yeah, and I keep saying that. A team like the Gladiators, who don't have players with a lot of girth, it's a mentality. You get in the weight room. We just saw that beautiful facility that they built. So it's about, willing yourself down there, putting a body on these guys and competing.
Well, both these two teams, of course, did play in Europe, and we're going to get ready for the second half in just under 6 minutes. Well, Basel fans, it is halftime, but again, we're not going to leave you with nothing at all. We're going to go with the top 10 plays of last week, but also the highlights between London Lions and the Surrey Scorchers. We'll be back momentarily.
Big dunk coming as Connor Morgan breaks down the lane and throws it home. Over to Morgan on the corner. Nice head fake. And a lane opens up. Oh, mercy.
Mohamed lights it up. He's feeling good. He's hit 2 now, isn't he?
Joe Vincent's going to get his first shot.
Hey!
And buries it. Beautiful pass from the big man. Connor Morgan this time. And that's called continuation. Matt Morgan all-star style. Deep range 3 coming from Connor Morgan. David Mwaba cuts through the offense and absolutely freezes the defense with that look away. Mohamed had a hot hand earlier, and he continues to have a hot hand. They need that 3 in a big-time way now with 2:50 to play in the first half. Nice step back there, and Andrew Lawrence buries it. Good help defense there. Connor Morgan, head up. Matt Morgan leaves it flying, and it dunks it in. Tariq Phillip as Morgan with a beautiful dish to the high-flying Tariq Phillip. Surrey has to make some kind of run.
Yeah, I think that's so important, and why not?
Cooper on the money. Sam can show the youngster he's still got some moves in those University of Wisconsin legs. Yes, he does! That one taken away, pocket pick by Kareem Queeley, and Kareem Queeley gets it on the dunk party.
Particular numbers and good grown man move also. Andrew Lawrence.
Chuloviskis up and under, his shot blocked away by Sharma. And the ball is left, and the youngster back-to-back buckets. Well, the London Lions get the victory after trailing 6-0 early, and the game ends up a 97-85. So they have beaten the Surrey Scorchers 4 times this year by an average of 12 points a game.
Austin drops it off to Defoe, who gets up for the throwdown.
Wow! 38 years young and still running the floor and dunking it.
Lobbed up to Jameson, who jams it in.
Wow! Easy as they come. Faking the screen action. Nichols has a one-on-one with Jaguar here. Trying to find some room, then nice cut back door there. And that's warm and welcome in Sheffield. Jalen Pipkins back in form. Reversal.
Nice pass. Oh, what a block!
My gosh!
Incredible. And London turning defense into offense as Morgan lays it up in it.
We thought Wiley's blocks were good. That is awesome by Sandy.
Johnson driving in, bump foul. Oh, what a finish! Keely Johnson flexes the muscles. A tremendous finish. Nice follow and jammed in. There's Johnson again. A word or two for the Eagles defenders.
Jalen Pipkins attacking the baseline. Take off. Kaboom!
Cock that one back and put an exclamation mark on it.
That one's passed straight to Lewis. Oh, volleyball spike from Johnson chasing it back.
Keely Johnson. Oh my goodness! Out of nowhere, Cam Copeland coming up with one of the plays of the week, sticking one on Oscar Baldwin.
Well, there you go. They've got lots of motivation.
Just trying to get something going.
Oh my
got
goodness!
A three-quarter court heave. Well, that's got them on their feet here. And here's Jacob from just inside the halfway line on the third quarter buzzer. What a way to end the period.
Welcome back, British Basketball League fans. We're live here in Bristol for this game. Now, here are some of the key results and fixtures from the weekend. Now, interestingly, Drew, look at that. Manchester Giants currently leading against Leicester Riders, and that could have an impact on this game if the Flyers win. We all know how much of a Giants fan you are and a big advocate, but of course, London Lions winning yesterday, the Copper Bucks. Two big games coming up tomorrow. Giants will be going up against the Eagles, while the Sharks will be hosting the Plymouth City Patriots. Well, on Sunday, we'll finalize the regular season as the Scorchers will be hosting the Riders, and the Phoenix will be taking on the old foe, the first time they've met since the trophy final. That's going to be quite a tasty encounter, Drew.
Yes, indeed. Shall we say a little bit of payback?
Well, here's a man who has a double-double. And speaking of double-double, the British Basketball League now has a new show where Derek and Stan will break down the playoffs, discuss who's hot and cold, make predictions, and rate the latest British basketball memes of the week. Guests from a playoff team will join them online for a light-hearted interview, spiced up with Wheel of Fortune and other challenges. The show will be live from 7 p.m. and will be streamed 2 hours across YouTube, Twitch, TikTok, and Instagram. During this time, we'll interact with fans and promote our upcoming games. Double W with Derek and Stan heading up for the British Basketball League playoffs. That looks like fun.
Yeah, I love that, right? Tapping into the youth, two great guys that's on the rise, Stan and Derek. I'll be making sure I'm sat there waiting on it.
I just love all the content we've had in the past few seasons. We've got Inside the Paint. You see that on Sky Sports, but double-double with Derek and Stan. That looks like it's going to be very exciting. Well, now we get the second half underway. We'll try to keep you updated with the other games going on as Newcastle currently up against the Phoenix. And, of course, Leicester Riders trailing shortly to the Manchester Giants. Well, Buffalo now looking to isolate. Step back, three is up. And, again, hand his face, but no problem from downtown.
And that's not his forte. And we've seen him twice tonight. Two big shots with a hand in the face off the dribble. Great shot.
6th three-pointer of the night here for the Caledonia Gladiators. Finding Brad Green caught between two players, and that's much better when he's right point blank from the basket. You know it's going to be one outcome, Drew.
And another point in the paint for the Flyers. But from the Gladiators' perspective, you're experimenting, bringing Green off the bench. You're not being as physical, and you're only 2 points down. So you're in great shape here on the road.
Clifton Moore Jr. turning it over. He has struggled offensively this evening. Flyers leading by 2 points. Trying to use the size advantage, but that's going to be a traveling violation, surely. Gavin Williams identifying that one very quickly. Did he go up with that one a little bit too late? Should he have taken the shot a bit earlier?
Yeah, he should have just gone with it. He's left-handed, so he just could have towered over the defender there. But I was about to say, if you can get away with that many steps, I'm going to put my shoes on because I can get some buckets if I can take 3 or 4 steps.
Well, the Oyster card doesn't work outside the M25, but of course, finding that one out very quickly. Been very critical of Clifton Moore Jr. on the offense, but one thing you can't deny defensively, he's done his job very well. But can he get something going? Still struggling. Tip back, no good. And at the moment, it's going to have to be rim protection duties tonight here for Clifton Moore Jr., Drew.
And you know why he's out of rhythm? Because his tag team partner is there on the bench. Think about the relationship they built over the last couple of weeks. We see them constantly having dialogue. Quade Green putting him in the right place where he can get successful. Well, with Bothwell, it's a little bit different, and so you can see tonight why he may be struggling.
Well, absolutely. You talk about a 1-2 punch. You know, you play better under different guards. If you are center, Bothwell made his last 3. Can he make another one? 7th three-pointer of the game for the Gladiators. They are on fire at the moment.
Wow, and again, Bothwell, from the, the lack of rhythm from Clifton Moore Jr., the outside shooting has been gained by Bothwell, something we never see. So
he's very inconsistent. You made a good point there. He's not usually a go-to player from the perimeter.
Well, he's a nitty guy. He likes to get to the mid-range and get to the bucket, or do this, get to the basket out in transition with his weak hand, right hand. Nice play.
Caledonia 8 points here in the third quarter. Even though they've struggled keeping Bristol off the second chances, they do have 10 fast break points. You can see converting those turnovers into fast break buckets. Green court inside the paint goes up. Big man struggling. And already you've seen 3 times Green struggling against. There's a layup, no good in the lane, but an offensive ball from Malcolm. But Clifton Moore Jr., as I mentioned, 3 times he's made life difficult for Brad Green.
Well, he has length. He's a legit 6'11", so, he has long arms, and you have to finish over. And he's athletic, so he makes those shots tough for bigs.
Well, Buffalo had to double clutch. Defense was tough. Flyers looking to get back in this one. Finally, Levi Bradley trying to go to the mismatch. Goes in with a Magic Johnson hook shot, can't get it. Goes out of bounds, and Flyers just taking their time to get into the second half at the moment, Drew.
Yeah, and I felt Bradley settled there. He has a smaller Malcolm guarding him, but I love the defensive intent from Fraser Malcolm. You can see him putting his forearm on him, forcing him away from the basket. And that's what you got to do, what I talked about in the first half that the Gladiators weren't doing. They didn't have any teeth defensively.
Well, can they extend to a 2-possession lead? Malcolm looking to throw it down low. Now we're under 10 here on the shot clock. Whelan heavily defended. Now can Clifton Moore Jr. get something from the offense? Twisting, turning, going in. Still struggling.
But that's great defense by Brad Green. We've seen him, you know, protect the paint, patrol the basket many times this year, and tonight is nothing different.
Well, in and around, wrapping up, and it's also an area where Brad Green's going to score. Second chances. He's struggling for the, I mean, both players are struggling in the one-on-one post matchup, but the advantage that Brad Green has, he just goes in and treats himself to second pickings.
Well, he's just a cleanup man. Any mess around the basket, he just tidies it up there with his 6'10" frame, and been killing tonight.
Well, Buffalo had it on target. He's 2 for 3 from the perimeter. Brad Green going NFL mode, and that goes into the VIP section.
Easy, fella, easy. I don't know if that's your forte, quarterback there. Touchdown pass attempt.
You think he's a San Diego 89ers fan, probably? Or, I mean, I'm a Philadelphia Eagles fan. I gotta. What about you, by the way? I've never asked you. Cowboys or?
Come on, man. You don't ever say that around me.
Okay, okay.
I'm a Houston Texan.
My bad, sorry.
Get it right. No Cowboys around here.
So you're definitely not a San Antonio Spurs fan tonight.
Absolutely not.
Caledonia is still leading by 1 point. Since the 2 3-pointers from Bothwell, trying to find ways to break the defense down. Whelan heavily defended. Draws a foul now. He was trying to pass the ball, so surely it can't be free throws. So it's going to be a sideline ball here to the Gladiators. Now, he's probably regretting passing the ball.
Yeah, but this is where you see his development. Look how he slows down. We call that putting him in jail. He's able to slither down the defense. And we didn't see that from Patrick Whelan 2 or 3 years ago. And so he's really tightened up his handle, which he's told me over the offseason, and has paid dividends this year.
Well, it's a pump fakes. It's a good point, because when you play alongside a Gino Crandall, your job is 10 times easier. Of course, Gino, at least in the last 5 years, probably the best, one of the best players from the British Basketball League, but Whelan now has had to be a ball-dominant player in the last few seasons. Well, Basel fans, we have 4:51 to go here in the third quarter. Currently, Caledonia Gladiators leading by just 1 point. We're going to take a short break, and you know it, it's coming. We're coming back momentarily. Well, Andreas Kapoulis seeing this team at times, I mean, you know, they've been much better inside the paint and definitely within the rainbow. I mean, of course, Caledonia's been doing a better job of shooting a three-pointer, but it's tough to call this one. I mean, I would have said beginning of the game, Bristol were probably going to win, but at the moment, looking very mortal here, Drew, sorry.
Yeah, it's a.
Well, going up with a dunk, but yeah, going back to what I said there, it's all scrambles here at the moment.
Yeah, it's the lack of shooting. I mean, before that dunk there in transition, both of their scores in the first 6 minutes were offensive rebounds put back by Brad Green. And that's what concerns me. If there's any concerns about the Flyers going into the playoffs, is can you get it going from beyond the arc if you don't get those second chance looks?
Well, good defense. Whelan unable to finish. Loose ball falling into the hands of the Gladiators. Whelan gets rejected. Good defense. See, without Clifton Moore Jr., the loose ball's become less effective here for the Gladiators. Bristol looking to extend on their 1-point lead under 4 minutes here in the third quarter. Smith goes bounce pass. Thomas Edwards pump fakes. That's way too easy. Well, he knew Baldwin was coming, and he sent him up in the air.
And I love that offense right there. The ball moved, it popped around, and they found the open man, and Thomas Edwards takes care of the rest.
Baldwin's taken a few threes tonight, hasn't made. This time he gets it, and now he ties the game up, and who knew he had it in him?
Wow, I didn't know that. We talked about timing or lack of timing for being out this year, but if he's making them as well, how do you stop this team?
Well, Edwards going in, get him rejected by Malcolm. Not so easy anymore, Drew. Foul's gonna be called on the ground.
But that was solid defense by Fraser Malcolm. I talked a couple of possessions ago of him having some defensive teeth there, and again, showing that he can make plays, rise above the defense with a terrific block.
Well, Thomas Edwards, the brute strength, but also the great IQ and the ability to read his defender. That time, I think you'd probably expect Malcolm to block his shot that easily.
Well, you're probably not even expecting him to jump.
Yeah. Well, Green into the game now for the Gladiators. Tie game. Baldwin trying to keep it alive. It's going to be a traveling violation, so the Flyers will get it back.
And how many times have we seen this from Baldwin? The bobble of the basketball, not catching it in these with the playoffs looming. These are plays, like I mentioned, in those 10, 12 minutes that he's going to see on the floor, he has to capitalize.
Of course, you mentioned without Farrell Hodzic, this team has to find ways to play for 40 minutes. Because Clifton Moore Jr. is going to have to heavily rely on Baldwin's relief minutes. Smith thinks about it, fires the three, it's up. Still only one treble tonight from the Flyers. Oh, what a dime by Johnson going in, finishing, but he misses the layup. The presence of Leslie Smith just doing enough to make that difficult for Johnson. But what a dime, though.
Yeah, that was a great pass there. Put it right in stride, and Johnson, he had to go up with the weak hand there and just a little bit too much.
Well, Kapoulis is arguing that that should be Bristol possession. And it did look like that was the first situation, but again, I have to see the replay to get a better view on it. Brad Green even has a few words there.
I thought he was going to put the TV sign up there for a minute. The Flyers played in the ENBL where you can go take a look at the possession.
Coach's challenge,
yeah.
Green trying to split the defense down. Nowhere to go here. Finds Almwis. Can he make three, number 9? This team are just lighting it up. They are cooking, Drew Laska.
And this is where Quade Green makes a living, because on the ball screen actions I mentioned, he is great at splitting them so your defense can collapse. The issue, you got snipers beyond the arc, and Owens is not necessarily one of them, but you got 5 guys shooting over 40%. And so what do you take away? Do you take away Green, leave the shooters, or do you stay at home and let Green get 30? That's a question that teams are going to have to ask themselves in the playoffs.
And he's one of those players, anytime he's got the ball, you know, defender has got the tough job. Then you've got the first side help, the weak side help. You've got all the eyes, excuse me, seem to be on Quade Green. And as you mentioned, that opens up so much free space on the perimeter for those high percentage looks.
And I think you need to turn on the Sheffield Shark tape, because they did a great job a couple of weeks ago of pressuring him, being physical, and keeping him going left, which he loves to do.
Austin pump fakes, trying to find Smith. Green with the good hands. Caledonia looking to push. Johnson just saving this one, but he almost turns the up. No, it's going to be possession back to the Gladiators. At the moment, Caledonia causing all sorts of problems here for Bristol. I think the argument here that Capoulas is saying there was a foul that should have been called. Because you have to remember what this man has given to the city of Bristol in terms of basketball. He took this team from the very bottom of not even semi-professional basketball and brought them here to the highest level of pro basketball in this country. You talk about history of basketball in Bristol. Capoulas is the only person you got to think about in terms of coaching and development.
Yeah, and I think it's a little poetic justice there. You mentioned he was arguing that foul and, you know, a little turnover there, taking it out. So it all worked itself out. But, yeah, this guy brought this team from Division III, if I'm not mistaken,
correct,
all the way to the British Basketball League. Just had his 300th game in the league a couple of weeks ago. With a story.
It's going to be a jump ball called. I believe the possession arrow will go in favor for the Flyers because Caledonia. We've talked about this on Twitter. You and I have had these. Am I hearing the Bristol Flyers fans saying you don't know what you do? Is that the first time we've had a football/soccer chant in a game? That is brilliant. Now, of course, respect to our referees. Our referees have been brilliant this season. They have done a good job. But you got to give credit to the fans having a voice like that.
Absolutely, but a foul there might be intentional. Bradley pushes Owens down. Terrible play there by Levi Bradley. But again, that's what Owens, he's a pest. He's doing those little things. He's always in your face. And if he's pestering you, it can bother you. It can frustrate you, which there it looked like a frustration foul.
Well, also needs to be careful because in those situations, they can always be upgraded to an unsportsmanlike and depending what. And of course, Andreas Capoulas, because I think he's accepted the decision, but I think he's also said, listen, we've missed a few calls. You can probably feel the frustration from our players, but I can tell you, I think the referees have done a great job in this game, Drew.
Hey, you know what? At the end of the day, you got to control what you can control, and that's what's happening between the lines. And right now, shall I say, the Gladiators are beating Bristol at playing Bristol basketball, which is, as we see, it's a little bit sloppy, and they're being a little bit more physical than the home team.
The Green stumbles, Jimenez picks it up. Now Capoulas is asking for an unsportsmanlike, and it's a tough one. I'm going to let you break this down because they usually say in transition. We'll have a look at the replay first. Let me know what you think. Here's the stumble by Quadic Green. Now watch Jimenez. Could have this been upgraded to an unsportsmanlike? This is a tough one in my mind. Right here.
I would say no. He was just there trying to get out the way. So great job by the referees not overreacting just because there is a little bit of contact. And we play on.
There's no malice. There's no intent to deliberately stunt. As you said, he's trying to get out the way. Cross-court pass. Flyers trying to tie the game up. 3 is up. Again, only 1 tonight. Caledonia have had chances to build on the lead. Green now, tough 3, pulls up, and again, get your umbrellas out. There was rain today, but they brought it down from Scotland today.
Wow, that's so nice. Like we mentioned, you got to keep him from going to his left because when he does, he's so deadly.
Oh, rolls its way in and out. A beautiful curl screen by Ollison, but unable to finish. But Flyers will get it back.
And who's there? Right there we see. And you know what? That's terrible defense because when you talk about the rescreen, what happens there, even if you're playing drop coverage, they always teach you to go over the top of the second screen, which the defender tried to go underneath and you got punished.
Ollison going baseline, splits the defense, goes in. Sucker shot, almost got it, but he will go to the free throw line for 2 shots. Well, they definitely need these free throws. They need to try and cut it down to a 2-possession ball game.
Yeah, that's a great play. That, you know, he's their silver lining when we talk about the lack of shooting, the efficiency from beyond the arc. This guy's an exception. He is a legit flamethrower from beyond the arc, and like we talked about, has just grown over these 2 years in the British Basketball League. Started at an NAIA school and transferred his senior year to Division I Youngstown State, and now look at him in the pros.
83% free throw shooter this season for the Flyers. 38.1. Now, going back to the debate that we had in the first half, of course, they made these free throws 13 seconds difference. Get a stop. 2 for 1's on the table. Now, I know you're not a fan of it. You're always a fan of the good shot, but it's always good when you got the free throws to give you that first attempt. Well, Green now smothered. Foul's been called. Final team foul for the Flyers to give away here at 20.5. Now, the problem is, on OSU, it will only be reset back to 14. But again, it's Green doing the damage around the ball screens. You talked about the drop coverage. You got to fight around it, but you can't give away too many fouls.
Yeah, exactly. But he draws those. This is not an easy task we're talking about here, guarding this guy, because he can do that. He can get at his spot, and when he does, he's so efficient. 50, 40, 90 guy. Whew, what a talent.
Flyers now for the last shot here in the third quarter. Lucas trying to go ball screen here with Green. Caledonia 1 foul to give, but it's a shooting foul, and you can see Gareth Murray infuriated with his defense. Just as I was about to allude the fact they do have 1 foul to give away, Drew, they give away a shooting foul.
Yeah, and it's just not smart, you know, when we talk about defensive IQ, and that's Jimenez digging in from the strong side, which he shouldn't be doing anyway because he's guarding Allison, and you just have to trust that the long length of Baldwin will be able to make that a tough shot for Lucas.
So I'm going to ask you an interesting question. We saw Gareth Murray's response, and it looked like a typical coach's response. You're giving away a shooting foul. I'm going to ask you if that was you and Fab Planoy back in the day.
That was Fab screaming it, don't help from the strong side. We talked about it all week in practice. We watched 3 hours of film. And so to answer your question, when we got to the game, we weren't making those type of mistakes.
Now, of course, if it was Creon Raftopoulos, he'd be angry at the moment, but he'd be the quick to give you a high five after and say, hey, it's all good, we got the next one.
Yeah, and that's just different styles of coaching, right? There's, you know, we have so many great coaches in this league, and if we go down the list, they have their own style, their own approach, and it's at the end of the day, at this level, it's all about relating to the players.
4.2 left. Well, you got to go quick. Omwis probably going to have to go for a deep one. Pulls up off the dribble. And way too strong off the backboard. Well, British Basketball League fans, it is indeed a 4-point lead to the visitors, the Caledonia Gladiators. They currently lead this one against the Bristol Flyers. 1 quarter left. We're going to take a break. And as always, we will be back momentarily. Ten minutes left for these two teams. The question will be, indeed, could we be seeing the Caledonia Gladiators head back to Scotland with a victory? Or can Andreas Kapoulis and his players hold on strong? They're currently down by 4 points. Well, I'm your commentator, Josh Bett, alongside former Newcastle Eagles, Plymouth Raiders, and Surrey Scorchers for one season superstar, Drew Lasker. Drew, not many people know that you play for the Scorchers.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, it was only 6 months when I got there. They were 0 for 9 or something, and, you know, I helped them claw back to the playoffs, and fun times. Took care of business and moved on.
I mean, you just went in and you drew that one up completely, didn't you? I mean, just, of course, I remember that season very well. It was the 2012 season. Plymouth were obviously, the former Raiders were a factor. Leicester actually weren't the biggest and best team in the league at that time. It was still the Newcastle Eagles, wasn't it?
It was all about the Eagles, and that's exactly what we just saw from Owens. Tough, strong, and play bully ball out there. And boy, what a dominance they had over the league for such a long period of time.
He made a very good point early in the third quarter. The shots haven't dropped for the Flyers here in this game. You know, they're only down by 4 points. But when it's so close, Drew, I mean, you know this especially better than anybody. You have to find other ways to score if those shots aren't dropping. We saw a lot of second chance points in the first half. That hasn't quite been the case for the Flyers in the third quarter. They need to step that up here in the fourth if they want to get the dub.
Yeah, and it's I would say offensive execution, and the Gladiators did a great job defensively. Only 12 points for Bristol there in the third quarter. And right now it's the three-point line, which is the separator. 1 for 10 for Bristol, and 10 for 18 for the Gladiators. That's the game right there.
Above 50% for the Glads from the three-point line. Well, Jimenez going in. Smith just saying, no way. I don't know if a foul's been called or a jump ball was called.
Great play. Headsy play right there. That's not in your defense. That's just a player seeing an opportunity and taking advantage. Great job by Jimenez.
I'm just impressed he didn't come up with the ball, man. Just tell you how strong Leslie Smith is. Well, now here comes Ollison. Double team coming from Baldwin. He's got to recover defensively. Samuel's got it by Jimenez. Finds Green on the baseline. Again, struggling here. It's been a very strange game inside the paint tonight. Of course, Flyers, most of the points in the paint have come from the perimeter penetrations or second chance points, but the post-up game has been a struggle for not only Green, but also for Clifton Moore Jr. Green looking to attack. Draws a foul. Flyers bench and fans don't quite agree with the call.
And this is what I talked about on the podcast, is moving into the playoffs, I want to see the coaching battle. We've seen this all year long. Quade Green wants to get to his left hand, and for some reason the Flyers are allowing that. When we watch Sheffield, you can see the game plan defensively, which Quade probably had his worst shooting game since he's been in the league. And, you know, defensively, when you're guarding this team, you got to have a plan.
Especially with a very diverse player like this one, because, you know, it's not just a, as I mentioned, beginning game, not a catch and shoot point guard, not just a facilitator. He scores in so many different ways. And, you know, one thing I'm very impressed about him is how well he reads the defense to get inside the key.
Yeah, and with players like that, you can't take away everything, but you can't allow everything. And so you have to make a decision on what you're going to give him. And right now, he's getting to the free throw line. He's getting downhill. They're going on the screens. He's hitting threes. He has everything at his disposal. And speaking of that,
so I'll do the second one.
Ollison, boy.
A Baldwin pump fake and take his time. Probably should have gone up quickly. And here come the Flyers. Could that second three-pointer be the bit of confidence they need to kickstart? Finds Green, and now it's a 5-0 run for the Flyers. Cutting it down to a one-point ball game. And Drew, I think Gareth Murray, I don't know, but yeah, timeouts we called. I think he's seen enough. Because look how quickly the Flyers are able to turn this one around.
Yeah, and it's all about Tevin Ollison showing you he can get it done from the outside. Right there, that beautiful boom drops in the bottom of the net. But also, he can play make as well, get downhill, little touch pass to Brad Green. He does the rest.
It's all the game of runs. You'll probably hear this from every expert in the game of basketball, but also finding confidence, finding ways to reassert yourself and build that identity. One three-pointer, could it be the difference? Gareth Murray calling the timeout to probably try and slow down this momentum, but I'm wondering right now, going back into your days, I mean, the reason I keep talking about Fab Lanoy, obviously working with Nick Nurse of the Philadelphia 76ers, one of the greatest coaches we've had here in the British Basketball League. If you're on the road, you've held on to a lead, the home team's made a run, it's this stage in the fourth quarter, what would have been some messages from Fab in timeouts like these?
Well, you have to bend but not break. That's the point of him taking a timeout, because when you're at home, you can get that momentum swing because the fans can empower you. You feel good about yourself. The environment is in your favor. And so you just, this timeout is simply, let's calm ourselves, guys. You see him writing something on the board. Let's get into our offense, execute. But you know what? We're okay. We're in striking distance where you want to be on the road in the fourth quarter.
Now, for those watching who are unaware of who we're speaking of, Drew Lasker spent the very good part of his career playing for the Newcastle Eagles under head coach Fab Flanoy, who came to the British Basketball League as a player with the former Birmingham Bullets, briefly played for the Sheffield Sharks, and then became a player coach for the Newcastle Eagles. And at the end of his coaching career, after becoming one of the best coaches ever, joined his former coach in the British Basketball League in the NBA with the Toronto Raptors, and now is currently one of the assistant coaches with the Philadelphia 76ers.
And you know how my IQ was born? Through hours and hours of film with Fab Flanoy.
And where did he get that one? Hours and hours of film, as the great Tony Holly would say, playing for the former the Manchester Giants and the Nick Nurse. It's amazing how it's always passed down as Green extends it back to a three-point lead for the Gladiators. So many gems we've had in this league that, you know, not many people are aware of.
Yeah.
Well, can tie the game up. Three is up in the corner, no good. Omwis. Oh, Green probably should have secured that rebound. Caledonia will get it back.
But I don't like that shot there. A contested three from the corner. Allison has been rolling here. You want to reverse the ball, get it back up to the top, and see if you can get something downhill. And I think they would want to have that one back.
Looking to extend this back to 2 possessions. Green trying to run around the ball to win ball screens. Time winding down. Johnson, 3, corner, nails it. Tray ball, number 11 for the Gladiators.
All set up by Quade Green. Had the discipline to slow down and say, you know what, there's nothing there. He saw that the defense was collapsing, all eyes on him. So what did he do? He looked them off, fired the ball to the corner.
Well, Allison going for the mid-range. Front eye, can't get it. Rapid Thomas Edwards goes in with the second Johnson. From the reaction from Johnson, I was thinking, is a push in the back going to be cool? But I don't think there was enough contact there to justify it. Olamos, his team's been on fire, and again, Drew, they're just not missing. The bucket has become the Atlantic Ocean. Everything is going in for the Gladiators.
And when this team is firing on all cylinders, it's so beautiful to watch. Like I mentioned, they have so many right there, that off the look pass there. He caught the defense, he manipulated them with his eyes, and then Onwis, with this second 3 of the night, rattles it in.
But going back to what you said, the thing I love about it, these aren't bad shots. These aren't forced 3-pointers. These are high percentage looks. Kick out wide open in the corner to Johnson. A penetration kick out to Almos. They are working for every single possession. You might get a few threes from Quade Green that are from the ISO, but this team's working together.
And because they're one of the most patient offenses we have in our league behind the London Lions, they're structured and they don't force anything.
A nice rejection by Clifton Moore Jr. And even though he has struggled offensively, he's played some phenomenal minutes as a rim protector. And again, that's why Darren Rattler's called him the block nest monster. Nessie with the rejection.
But that goes to your point earlier when you talked about, you know, when you're not scoring the ball, what else can you do to justify a coach leaving you in the game? For Clifton Moore Jr., he can defend, he can rebound, he can protect the paint. So that's why you see him in there when he's not having his best game offensively.
Well, timeout's gonna be called. Well, basketball fans, the postseason is upon us, and it's that time of year, the playoffs. Very different structure this year as we've seen before, but one thing I advise you to do on May the 19th, get yourself down to Southeast London, get to the O2 Arena, and buy your tickets today to go watch the British Basketball League playoff final. Through the last 2 years have been exciting. London Lions versus Leicester Riders. It could be very different. I'm telling you right now, the way this season's gone, we could be seeing a different final in the O2. So buy your tickets for the 19th of May to watch the British Basketball playoff final. I'm going to ask you right now, who do you think is making the final?
Ooh, you put me on the spot. Well, I got to go with the London Lions. That's not a secret. The question is, who will be meeting them there? Who will be their date? And right now, for me, it's a toss-up between 2 teams. One team you're watching now, the Gladiators, and the Cheshire Phoenix, who are just playing phenomenally all season long.
I'm telling you right now, the message this season is everybody's unbeatable. But something I've also noticed since the beginning of the season to now, it's also unpredictable. We're going to see an upset in the playoffs, I think.
Was that in the script? I like that.
Oh, I
That was
genuinely
nice.
think we are going to see 2 new teams in the final. That's the way the season's gone.
Wow, that's bold right there. I'm going to hold you to that as well.
Of course, a 24-second violation is going to be called. Great defense by the Caledonia Gladiators. Oh, I tell you right now, I mean, you go to last season how imperious London were and how many teams have been able to beat them. You never know. It's been a long season. I mean, take nothing away from them. They are the greatest team in the league. But postseason is postseason. You never know how it will go. And I think every team below them is going to be hungry, whoever matches up with them.
That's a great move there by Patrick, really getting to his right hand. But to answer your question, Josh, the issue, you got to beat him twice.
Yes.
I just do not see that happening.
Well, of course, the London Lions women's will be heading for a double. We've got to give a shout out to arguably, well, no argument whatsoever, the greatest British basketball league team in history. First ever European champions of the FIBA Euro Cup win, defeating Besiktas, losing game 1, making a comeback on the road in Istanbul and coming back. Holly Winterburn, probably with the greatest shot in the history of this game. We talked about Terrell Myers' winner, but Holly Winterburn's got to be up there now. Big shout out to the London Lions women, looking to go for the double with a playoff final and a European crown. The queens of world basketball in my mind right now.
You talk about homegrown talent. How about Holly Winterburn? From here and has developed nicely. Shout out to the ladies.
Johnson going in with a hook shot, can't get it. Clifton Moore, junior offensive rebound, gets his pocket picked. Great defense by Rafa Thomas Edwards. Still just over 5.5 to go. Flyers not going anywhere, Drew. Oh, Ollison, he's made one Hail Mary 3. Again, it was on target.
And the Gladiators dodged a bullet there. Slow closeout by Bothwell, because we know it doesn't matter how many feet Ollison is behind the line. It's a good shot.
Well, Whelan trying to split the defense. At the moment, Thomas Edwards, this guy wants it a little bit more than everyone else at the moment, Drew. Final seconds in. Bothwell has to take a fadeaway and his face. Top of the backboard. That's going to be a 24-second violation. 5:01 left. And you can see how much that means to Coach Kapoulis, applauding his players for their efforts.
Phenomenal defense there by the Flyers. And we talk about what translates to the playoffs. That the defense, the offensive glass, they just got to get it consistent on this side of the ball, and maybe we might see this team at the O2.
Who knows? Anybody could get there. As we mentioned, Lions heavy favorites, but just got a feeling about this postseason, but we'll find out. For now, at the moment, 4:47 to go here as the Caledonia Gladiators carrying the lead by 7 points. We're going to take our final break here in the 4th quarter, and we will be back, as always, momentarily. Welcome back, British Basketball League fans. At the moment, indeed, it is Gareth Murray's team who have a 7-point lead against Andreas Kapoulis' squad. With 4:47 to go, we're in the fourth quarter. Josh Beck calling this one alongside British Basketball League legend Drew Lasker. Well, Drew, only 2 3-pointers so far here for the Flyers in this game. One of them coming in the fourth quarter, but that is a strong penetration.
And that's what Jacob does off the bench. He brings you instant offense, and sometimes he blows hot, sometimes he goes cold, but when he's hot, boy, what a talent.
Foul's gonna be called against Levi Bradley. There's plenty of time left in this game. It's only a 5-point ball game, but you know, it's fair to say, Caledonia, I feel like they've done a much more aggressive job of keeping Bristol off the offensive rebounds. In the second half, at least.
Yeah, absolutely. In the second half, they have done a better job. Brad Green has been a pest in their side all game long. Only 7 rebounds in the second half, 5 rebounds in the second half after having 10 in the first.
Well, Buffalo got his own rebound. Finding Armwas. Pump fakes. Down low to Clifton Moore Jr. He's got to take advantage of the mismatch. Well, I don't know what it is. That basketball refusing to obey the laws of gravity just won't go inside the hoop. I mean, these are good looks. They just won't go in.
You know what? Sometimes you have nights like this. 0 for 9 for Clifton Moore, who's been playing at a high level. And sometimes, you know, we got to remember, he's a rookie. When you start playing well, sometimes you can drink too much of the Kool-Aid, start feeling yourself. And boy, how does this game humbles you sometimes.
I mean, the only comparison is, I remember Jan Vesely in the Euro. Here we go. Oh, my goodness. I think he was listening to us. And I think he just politely told both of us to stay in our lane.
That's a high percentage shot, isn't it? Right there above the rim.
And a block as well. But I think he was talking to me more mainly because I'm the one who keeps saying he's been great on defense, but he's struggled on offense. Oh, there was a handoff, pick and roll. And again, Nessie, the block nest monster, just become the dunk nest monster on that one.
And you saw Trajan Jacob that made a business decision, stayed out the way because he didn't want to end up on our top 10 plays of the week. Smart.
Well, deep three come from Whelan, and again, the three-point entourage keeps coming from the Gladiators. The timeout's coming for the Bristol Flyers. First came the dunk, then came the tray, and Andreas said it was time for a tee.
And look at that beautiful shot by Patrick Whelan. Doing it all off the dribble. He's developed this game, and nice. Had 5 threes last week, you know, which was a season high for him. And it's great to see him coming back in good form after that thumb injury earlier in the season. And what a talent. And he's homegrown as well.
Interesting story about him. Now, we all know this past summer, here are some of the top scorers for the Caledonia Gladiators. Bothwell leading. Currently it's 17, followed up by Quade Green, and 12 from Armwas. People don't quite realize how hard he trains. So this past summer, Patrick Whelan went and played in the Canadian CEBL for the Niagara River Lions. Now, I have this story because my father was the assistant coach. Every practice, you have your 2 to 3 hour sessions, you get your shots in, you go over sets. He would stay after every practice and have shooting contests with every shooter player on the team. No one could ever beat him. My old man would say players would sometimes be in the gym a further 1 or 2 hours because nobody could beat this man in any shooting competition. That's just how much he practices. So young players, if you're a three-point shooter, if you want to get to the pro level, I highly recommend you get in contact with Patrick Whelan and you find out what he does in terms of drills, how long he's in the gym, because this man, the only word I can think about in this practice, he is dedicated.
And one thing that he mentioned to me just last week, speaking of that Canadian League, he said they have 7 assistant coaches. So he got individual workouts every day, and his goal was to tighten up that handle, and we've seen it pay dividends so far this year.
Well, he was working out with my little brother, who's a university player in Canada. Even my little brother would say, I've never seen a guy who just, not how great of a shooter he is only, but I've never seen a guy who is just a workhorse, non-stop, will keep going. Morning, afternoon, evening. This guy just wants to get better and better. Now, he has struggled in parts of the beginning of the season because he's been more ball dominant. But you see the way he's coming off screens now, finding separation. The quick release is what I've been so impressed with. 10-point lead at the moment. Well, nice play in the lane again. Lucas trying to respond. That's what they need now, some energy, but also some composure on the defense, Drew.
And that's a great, strong drive by Jacob. Getting downhill to a strong hand, reaches out, stretches it away from Clifton Moore. Nice, easy basket. These last 3 minutes, hoping it's a confidence booster for the Flyers.
Well, got it down to single digits. Gotta make life tough here, because you know Caledonia's got to think about a perimeter shot. Oh, good hands. Levi Bradley preventing Clifton Moore Jr. Now here comes Lucas. Lucas draws a foul. Now, would that be free throws? Was that called on the ground? I didn't quite see that one.
Well, I think it's going to the line. He picked up the ball there. He cuffed it. Splits between the defense, and Bothwell had no choice but to grab his arm there, and that's a great job by Lucas, just getting his head down, and most importantly, you stop the clock.
Well, Lucas so far this season's been averaging just under 9 points per game here for the Flyers. This is a very talented backcourt players such as Lucas, Jacob, not to mention the likes of Ollison. They've had a lot of injuries this year, and you got to ask the question, had this team been healthy this year, we pretty much would have expected them to be a top 4 team in the league.
Absolutely. I mean, as I mentioned, 23 games missed between Tevin, Ollison, Keedy Johnson, who's not suited up tonight, and Lucas there. And Lucas, we remember he was in the voting for Player of the Month before he went out with that hamstring injury.
Well, Wheeler's finding Clifton Moore Jr. Pump fakes down the lane, goes in, gets the and one. And he's got a chance to go to the free throw line here for a 3-point play. 2:29 left. 8-point lead, but still plenty of time here for the Flyers. No need to panic.
That was just a great job by Patrick Whelan, who had 2 defenders running out to him, and he didn't settle, got downhill, and not being unselfish, dumps it off to Clifton Moore where he finishes the job.
It's not finished because a hard foul was coming. Converts the 3-point play. Very composed look there from Gareth Murray, the former Glasgow Rocks and Great Britain international player. Bristol needs something here. Oh, they throw it away. He had Jacob on the perimeter, but in the end, tried to go inside to Brad Green. A bucket now for Caledonia. Just build a bit more light at the end of the tunnel. Bothwell finds Omwis. Green go behind the back. Probably should have gone for the shot himself. Now Bristol's got to be quick here. That's a foul by Omwis, regardless whether he was in the process of shooting at his team foul. So now any more fouls for either of these two teams will send each other to the free throw line. Intelligent play by Levi Bradley.
Yeah, and if you're a Gladiator, you're not mad about that foul there. You stop him getting out in transition, and even though he's an 84% free throw shooter, you still got to get up here and make them. And so, smart play by Omwis, who's pleading his case, but that's a foul all day. You turn your body backwards, it's a foul.
Well, they've been excellent from the free throw line here this evening. Now is the time, definitely you have to make your free throws. 50% here for the Gladiators, but they've been much better from the perimeter. Bradley makes them both. Home crowd anxiously watching on, knowing that the Giants are competing with the Riders. We'll try to keep you updated with how that game is going this evening, because it has big effect. Giants currently leading by 7 points with 7 minutes left in the fourth quarter against Leicester. Here comes the turnover now. Foul's going to be called against Patrick Whelan. That's going to be 2 more free throws coming up to the free throw line and a chance to cut it down potentially to a 2-possession game. Drew, you don't want to invite a team back in by sending them or inviting them to the charity strike.
Absolutely not, but it's bad offense that leads to this transition where Patrick Whelan has no choice but to foul. And I thought there, the Gladiators are, may I say, playing not to lose. And yeah, you want to ink clock, but at the end of the day, you got to still remain aggressive.
Well, just to keep you updated on the Manchester game, currently 3 Giants players in double figures. William Lee with 15, Nicholas Lewis is 17, as well as Evan Walsh, and they currently lead by 6 points with just over 7 minutes. 4 Riders players in double figures. Drew, I don't think either of us would have imagined the Giants to be leading against the Riders.
That would be a shock, especially what's on the line here in this final weekend, and we talk about, you know, the matchups and the seedings in the air.
Well, that's going to be an 8-second violation at the moment. Caledonia choking under intense pressure from the Flyers. Still a 6-point ball game. Well, I said if you're a neutral, you want this game to go right down to the wire. If you're Caledonia, you're probably biting your fingernails, and probably a bit of anxiety here for the Flyers fans. They must get something here. Down low to Brad Green. Green goes for the baseline shot. Was that the right one to go for, Drew?
No, because he wasn't deep enough. If he was in the paint, yeah, I'm dumping it down. But a turnaround jumper over 2 outstretched arms, it was not a great offensive set.
Green heavily defended. Shaking, baking, little teardrop, can't get it. But now they got to be quick here. I gotta imagine you probably would want to think about going for a 3 due to the time difference. Well, there's the 3. Allison puts it up. It almost went in. Scrambling, Green comes up with it, jump hook. Now it's a 4-point ball game. And Gareth Murray is gonna call timeout, but time is not on their side. But Drew, at the moment, Caledonia, they just keep turning it over. They keep getting bad offenses.
Yeah, not poised at all. A little bit sloppy with the basketball. We see Bothwell there gambling at this moment in the game. You leave Allison, their best 3-point shooter, for a great look. Really fortunate there, but Brad Green cleans up the mess as we talked about and gives the Flyers an opportunity here down the stretch.
See, that play from there, this is what I want your opinion on. Bradley comes from behind and just taps at it. Sometimes, I'm saying, you would see that called as from behind the back. But why is that not called behind the back, though, in your perspective?
I think because he's going for the basketball and the defender wasn't boxing out. Right. The defender was going for the rebound as well. And when you're going for the ball, it's, you know, let the best man win. If he had been putting a body on him, Levi Bradley jumps over his back. That's when it's gone.
Such an ambiguous one, because you got to think at any time in the game, depending on the momentum, you feel like that could be called either way. But I get what you're saying. It's almost like the restricted area. If you're the primary defender, you're probably not going to call for a blocking foul in that situation. You have to be the secondary defender. But I understand where you're coming from on that one. But I think Bristol, just that little effort from Levi Bradley gives them a fighting chance. But they need to come up with a stop here, Drew.
Yeah, and the question is, who do you foul? Because look who they're throwing out there, all guys who shoot a very high percentage. If you had to choose, maybe you foul Owens, but you're definitely not allowing Quade Green to get the ball. You know, maybe even Bothwell, but keep it away from Whelan, keep it away from Green. And Clifton Moore Jr. is a great free throw shooter as well.
Do they go for the trap now? But Green breaks it down, the nightmare they didn't want. Foul has been committed, so QG will go to the charity stripe.
I understand that. You're trying to see if you can get a foul first, but, you know, if you get the guy that you want with the ball, then I'd say go ahead and foul him, because this is not the guy you want. We talked about it. He was 50, 40, 90 earlier, missed those 2 free throws, dropped under 90%. But, you know, men lie, women lie, but numbers don't lie, and I expect these to go in.
Gets the shooter's roll. That's just how great a free throw shooter he is. Kosi's been such a massive impact. I mean, we give a lot of credit, especially myself. I pay a lot of homage to Teddy Buckets, but Quade Green's really caught my attention offensively since joining the British Basketball League. He makes both free throws, and it's back indeed to a 6-point ball game. Caledonia, Operation Hang On at the moment, as now Andreas Kapoulis. I mean, what do you go for? You got to go quickly, don't you?
Yeah, you got to go with a quick 3. They usually on the sideline out of bounds. They normally come to Allison, who's curling around the top and fading to the corner. That's something we see a lot from this team. But right now, 2s aren't going to get it done. You got to get something quick, and then you have to foul quick as well on the other side.
An interesting one here. I mean, you've got to create a high percentage look. So ideally, you want to put all your best 3-point shooters on the floor. But I mean, what do? Do you pick and pop? Do you come off hard on the screen? Do you send us? I mean, what would you do in this situation?
Well, this is why the coaches get paid the big bucks, right? This is what their job is, to draw something to put the players in the best situation to get the best look. And I'll tell you one thing about Kapoulis. He's one of the best. Being with him in Australia in 2018, I actually asked him in the van, I was like, how are you able to draw those sideline out of play so quickly? Because it is a skill, right, in the moment with the pressure, and he's one of the best to do it.
Now, you talked about playing for him. It was in Australia, wasn't it?
Correct.
You played for the England men's team at the 2018 Commonwealth Games. Now, if our good friend from Scotland, Kieran Archara, is watching this game, I'm not even going to say it, because as a proud English basketball, I'm joking. Kieran, big shout out to you, but Gareth Murray was playing as well, I believe.
Yeah, Gareth Murray, Fraser Malcolm was fresh out of college, and Johnny Bunyan, who just
need to talk about the result in that game, okay?
No, we don't. You don't need to tell everybody our business. You know what I mean?
We'll keep it quiet. But 23.4 left. Flyers got to get it inbound. Bradley pump fakes. Goes in, finishes, cuts it down to a 4-point ball game. But they got to get a stop, but they got to commit a foul. Well, they almost get the steal there, but still remains Gladiators ball.
You got to keep the ball out of Quade Green's hand. Whatever you do, if I'm Allison, I'm taking him away, not guarding the ball. That's not going to do that. Now you got to foul.
Well, Green breaks down the defense. The issue there was, I think they avoided the 8-second violation, but Green's just got to go to the charity stripe, finish this game off, and disappointing here for the Flyers because, as we mentioned, looking at their score in Leicester, Drew, 81 to the Giants, 72 to Leicester. And I think the Giants have done Bristol a big favor. Bristol just haven't matched expectations tonight.
Wow, that would be very disappointing. If this matchup remains the same, the scoreline, and the Flyers find out that they had a golden opportunity that they wasted, or maybe not. Maybe they're looking at the Cheshire Phoenix and say, hey, we like our chances against you. And
why not? They beat him in the last game, didn't they?
My point.
Well, 5-point ball game. Bradley pulls up, quick three, tries to go off the backboard, can't get it. Bristol come up with a loose ball with 3.7, and it's a 3-point ball game. Well, they go for the long one. Comes up with it, throws it down with 1.6. Caledonia will be taking the W. Well, basketball fans, we thank you for joining us, but in the end, Caledonia will be heading back to Scotland with a big win here against the Bristol Flyers. Well, Bristol may have been the best team in the first half, Drew, but Caledonia, they proved otherwise in the second half. And I'm going to ask you the question that's the toughest one for every analyst here in the British Basketball League. Who was your player of the game?
Well, it's easy. I mean, Mike Bothwell, who normally comes off the bench, he got the start over Quade Green, and he made Gareth Murray look like a genius because he balled out here tonight. He gave it everything beyond the arc in feeding the big men and also getting to the midi. What a great game.
And you know how, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, and a double-double as well.
Well, double-doubles on both sides. Brad Green maybe getting the fastest double-double I've ever seen in international hoops. I want to talk about the atmosphere. I love the atmosphere in this arena. It was riling up in the first half. But Caledonia, they silenced this arena. They really controlled the tempo. A little bit of a storm coming from Bristol, but they pegged back, and they were in total control.
Yeah, they did a great job of subduing that crowd, and the way the crowd get going by big plays, which we didn't see many from Bristol. You know, they shot poorly from beyond the arc. We didn't see many dunks besides that one that Jacob had, and so you know, this is a huge win by the Gladiators, having their best player play limited minutes off the bench, and Clifton Moore having his worst offensive game and still getting it done on the road. Big win.
Well, you mentioned big performance from many players. Clifton Moore, did struggle offensively, but some key blocks. But that man right there, Quade Green, along with Bothwell, they led the way in the backcourt. It's been a very good season for them. A lot of learning. FIBA Europe Cup campaign, players coming in, players coming out. But you think right now they may have the winning formula going into the playoffs. And who knows, we could see them on the 19th of May at the O2 Arena. I'm definitely looking forward to going if they're going to be there because they are on fire at the moment.
They have everything that you would want. You have elite point guard play, you got snipers on the outside, and you got a big fella, Clifton Moore, who can dominate inside and also stretch it out. And also, what has Coach Gareth Murray been talking about as of late? They've been able to raise up their defense and speed up the game a little bit. And so this is a team I wouldn't want to face because, like we mentioned, how do you guard them?
Well, we're going to have to take a look at the statistics from this game. And one thing we need to definitely highlight, literally, the bucket from the perimeter was like the Atlantic Ocean. 13 for 21, Drew, over 60%. That's incredible.
Well, that's the separator, right? You talk about 39 points for the Gladiators beyond the arc compared to 6. That's the difference there. You can be as physical all you want. You can score inside, but at the end of the day, the three-point line in today's game is always a separator.
Well, of course, the other stats you can see, 19 turnovers of Caledonia. I mean, that was, we thought that was going to go against it, but the rebounds was something we talked about. Well, the other game going on right now, interestingly though, that if Leicester do lose tonight, and let's say Bristol were to win tonight, Leicester would still have to lose the next game, which you're going to see in the upcoming games. Well, the other game's still going on. The Giants currently leading by 7 points still in the fourth quarter. Tomorrow, 2 exciting games. The Giants will be hosting Drew Lasker's former team, the Newcastle Eagles, while Sheffield will be taking on the Plymouth City Patriots. And the final 2 games on Sunday, Scorchers will be taking on the Riders. And again, the very last one is the game we've all been waiting for. It doesn't matter how many fans you bring. Let me tell you, it's going to be Cheshire Phoenix versus London Lions, the first game since the trophy final in Birmingham. It may not mean anything, but Drew, I'm looking forward to that matchup.
And if you're a London Lion, it does mean something because, you know, that stings, that stung with them. Everyone saw that, and they're going to want a little bit of good payback going into the playoffs.
Well, now we're going to take a look at the league standings here in the British Basketball League as we head for the final games of the weekend. Caledonia currently still in third place, right behind the Phoenix. Bristol just above the Surrey Scorchers. Of course, no playoffs coming for the Manchester Giants or the Plymouth City Patriots. London Lions, crowned champions, of course, already in the league. But now we head as the Sheffield Sharks and Leicester Riders. That could be a very interesting playoff matchup. Remember, those two teams met in a playoff final back in 2016, in which the Sharks did surprise everybody at the O2 Arena. There are your league standings. I don't think there's ever been a more exciting anticipation to the playoffs than, who knows, maybe the lockdown year. It's been great this year so far.
You know what? We talked about maybe Bristol Flyers dropping the ball, but at this point, we talked about the parity. It doesn't really matter. Everyone can beat anyone. We've seen Bristol Flyers have success against the Cheshire Phoenix, and I like that matchup for them. And you know what? I'm going to have my popcorn. I'm going to have my beverage if I'm not working in the game, and I'm going to be tuned in.
Well, of course, I'll have my cup of tea as usual with some digestives. But basketball fans, we would like to say thank you for joining us. I'm Josh Bed. He is the great Drew Lasker. We'll see you for more games here in the British Basketball League. But for now, it's good night, goodbye, and God bless.